Thanks for joining me. How many times today did you say, I have to, from the time you got up till right now? Maybe you're watching this first thing in the morning, so you haven't said it very many times. But if it's at the end of the day, I'll bet you said it a lot. How many times have you heard other people say that too? I have to. I have to take the garbage out. I have to return this phone call. I have to watch this. I have to change that. We do tend to say that a lot. Well, let's talk a little bit about how that mindset affects what you and I do as leaders. You know that leadership matters. You know that. You also know that sometimes it can be really hard. I'd like to suggest that sometimes we make it harder than it needs to be, right? Here's a simple change that you can make that when you do will bring about a big difference right away. This is the idea that when we decide to do something, and even while we're doing something, anything, our mind will approach it in a couple of ways. One of them, I just mentioned, I have to do this. And the other one is, I get to do this. Now, for those of you who are sarcastic, okay, that's my native language. English is my second language. Sarcasm is my first language. So I get you. In fact, I really like sarcasm, but it can also kind of give us a trap door so we can get out of being responsible. But if you take sarcasm aside and still say, I have to, or I get to, those are the two mindsets that I want to talk about today. We have found out, along with some research that a bunch of really amazing and smart people did over the years, that if I approach my work or an opportunity or a challenge, something granular or something grand, I will approach it with one of these two mindsets. I get to or I have to. To get all specific here, we call that discretionary effort or required effort. If I feel like I am required to do this for whatever set of reasons, because you told me and you're my boss, and even though I might say no one's the boss of me, you're my boss and I have to do it, or internal reasons, maybe I have to do it because I have a standard I need to live up to or something like that. If I approach my work with an I have to mentality, and I compare how much effort I put in and how much I get out, quality, quantity, effectiveness. It's kind of a simplistic way of thinking about it, but let's start there. If I compare that with approaching that very same work with an I get to, this is an opportunity, mindset, that's required mindset over here, or discretionary mindset over here, I'm 3 times more productive if I approach my work with the discretionary, I get to mindset, than when I approach my work with the required, I have to mindset. By the way, I'm not saying this is good and bad work that needs to be done. That's not the point. The same work, it's my approach that makes a significant difference. It is a huge deal. So notice this 3 times greater effectiveness in productivity and in outcome when I approach it with an I get to mindset. Notice that. Again, strip out the sarcasm, right? I get to do this. It's probably not, when you and I are thinking, I get to do this, we're probably not thinking of every little detail of the work and doing some cost-benefit analysis. Well, I like these 3 details and these 19 details I don't like, so therefore I don't like the work. It's not that at all. We look at something within the work that because we're doing that, we get to. We pull out parts of the work when we're using what we call discretionary effort, and we like that. And that makes the entire work feel like discretionary effort. There's a bunch of neurology behind this. There's a bunch of psychology behind this as well. But whenever you and I approach our work like I have to, it's a very different level of engagement to us. In fact, it affects our memories differently. In fact, it affects our conversations differently. Our bodies feel different when we have to do something than when, with that same kind of work, we get to do something. There's actually a discipline that folks have learned over the years that I'd like to share with you. The discipline is that when that, first of all, they notice the I have to, I get to kind of dichotomy that develops in their head. And whenever they find something that is mostly I have to, and they're doing the internal or visible rolling of the eyes with that work, they've learned a discipline to find something in that work that they get to do. And then think about that and focus on that for just a couple of seconds. And in so doing, it takes almost all of that work and flips it over to the I get to side. It's likely, my friend, that you spend a lot of time in meetings. And you wonder, how do I get any work done? I spend so much time in meetings. It's probably where you are. You might even look at your calendar for tomorrow and think, well, I have to go to this meeting and I have to go to this one. If you practice this simple discipline, look at that first meeting that you have to go to and think, is there anything in there that you get to do? Maybe it's something simple like, oh, well, I get to sit next to one of the funniest people I've ever worked with in my life. And I get to talk with her about her vacation and how it went. She went to the Bahamas. I want to know how that went. I get to do that. Or I get to learn something new. If I can get that person over there to open up about what they're thinking or working on, I get to learn something new. There's something in that meeting, if you'll pause for a minute and think about it, that you get to do. Go ahead and do it. In fact, even hit the pause button right now if you want to do it. And you get to do that. Think about it for a minute. As you do, there's a really weird thing happens where the whole meeting will move out of the I have to bucket and it'll settle over here into the I get to bucket. That's actually a discipline. It's triggered, as all disciplines are, with a decision. I'm going to decide that when I notice that I'm in the I have to go to work, I have to go to the meeting, I have to have that conversation. When you find yourself in that mode, decide, I'm going to actually say, yes, but I get to, and then find one little thing in that body of work that you get to do. I get to learn that new software. I get to do that from the beach on my iPad. How amazing is that? I get to learn something new, whatever the case is. And then it takes the whole thing and moves it right over here into the I get to category. It's pretty impressive. If you do that a lot, you will actually find that your mind works differently. When we're in the I get to zone, when we're in the discretionary zone of our work, we find that our memory works better. We can recall things more quickly. We can learn more quickly. We also notice that when I get to is the zone out of which we're working, we notice that our power of choice becomes significantly more important to us. In other words, we feel more empowered, if I can use a worn out word. When I get to, it's because I choose to. Pretty powerful kind of thing. So a simple idea, and the way to use it, of course, is to listen to other people. Listen to them say, I have to. You'll probably hear that 99 times out of 100. You'll rarely hear, I get to. And if you do hear I get to, it'll probably be about something that is after work, right? Or it'll be sarcastic, maybe, and help people think through, well, what about that do you get to do? What about that do you choose to do? Because when we as human beings exercise agency or choice, it makes all the difference in the world. If we feel like we are trapped in some sort of river floating downstream with nothing we can do to change it, it's demoralizing and toxic. But when we realize we actually do have agency, not over everything, but over a few things, and I get to do this and I choose to do this, it changes us. And it changes the people that we work with. As a leader, let me strongly suggest that you watch yourself and you learn this discipline. Now, I get to, not I have to. As our children were growing up, let me tell you this quick story. I'd tell you if you were sitting right here and we were sharing this bourbon together. As our children were growing up, my oldest son, Christopher, didn't want to mow the lawn. He had to mow the lawn. He wanted a camera in his hand. He wanted to be creating. He wanted to be on a bicycle. He wanted to be doing stuff like that. He didn't want to do what he considered that kind of work. And it was his turn to mow the lawn. So he would mow the lawn, and he would do an okay job at mowing the lawn. He had to mow the lawn. That's how he thought about it. Jonathan, 2.5 years, 3 years younger than Christopher, my second child, he got to mow the lawn. He loved it. He liked the machine of the lawnmower. He liked to make sure that it ran really, really well. He also really liked the nice straight lines in the lawn. In fact, he had seen me mow the lawn once where I mowed it this way, and then I did the cross hatch of mowing the lawn. So I mowed it a second time the other way, just because it was such a cool picture. I wanted to see what that looked like. It's a beautiful thing that happens at the end of mowing your big lawn like that. He saw me do that, and he wanted to learn how to do it. He wanted to learn how to make those lines nice and straight. At the end of mowing the lawn, he would clean the lawnmower. He'd hose off the bottom of the lawnmower, make sure that it was dry so it wouldn't rust. He'd refill it with gas so that the gas wouldn't go bad. He'd check the oil. He was about 11 when this happened. And the difference between Christopher, when it came to mowing the lawn, and Jonathan, when it came to mowing the lawn, was stark. Christopher had to mow the lawn. It was okay. Did an okay job. It was harder for him to mow the lawn. There were big tufts of lawn that were missing, and it would make me chuckle. He didn't clean off the lawnmower. If he did, he would just kind of scrape the grass off the top of it and then put it away. And because he had to. Then he would go on to something he loved that he got to do afterwards. Jonathan, on the other hand, all the things that I just described. And it was because of a simple change in mindset. And you and I can do the very same thing. Even in the middle of things that we, on the surface, think, oh, this is awful. Why would I want to do this? Look for something within it that you get to do. Focus on that. It changes everything. And then teach the people you lead to do the very same thing. They deserve it. They deserve it. They're not drones going to work every day. You know, they're not like the 7 dwarfs who just 6 of them loved work and the 7th hated work. They're not like that 7th dwarf. So have some fun with this. I hope you do. And you're doing a really good job. Why are you in the job you're in? Because you get to do this job. You chose this job. So you get to do this work, and it's great work. Keep up your good work. And you know what? I get to enjoy the rest of this bourbon. If you were right here, you'd get to enjoy some exactly like it. Thanks for taking time. If you like this video, click that like button. If you want more, click the subscribe button. If you want to know when it comes out, click that bell, and we'll be in touch. Keep up the good work. Here's to you. I get to drink this bourbon.